Good morning! Welcome to A Life Worth Living. I'm Frederick Groth, and I believe that God has a plan and purpose for everyone, including you. I have a message of hope and truth to show you a life worth living. This morning we have a really great lesson. Well, we have a great lesson every morning. What am I saying? Numbers chapter 13. And this is a great lesson for anyone trying to achieve success or, get that little extra in their life, whatever the case may be. And let's just jump right into it. This is the story of God asking Moses to send in the 12 spies into the promised land. And we sing a little Sunday school song about it, and it's great fun. But the fact is, God wanted them to spy out the land. He didn't want them to go in blindly. He wanted them to know what they were getting into. But before we get into that, I want us to remember, God promised the land, hence promised land, to Israel. He promised them that they would occupy it. He promised them that they would live in it. He promised them that they would conquer it. Now, aside from some of our more modern ethical ways of thinking, yes, I realize that, conquering isn't always the greatest way to go about things, but that is the story, okay? So they go into the land, and they see great cities, walled cities. They see giants. They see a fertile land that, according to the text, says it was flowing with milk and honey. It had big clusters of grapes. It was a lush, wonderful land that was occupied. Okay, so they do their 40 days, I believe it was, and they come back and they are talking about it, and they are telling all the people about it, and 10 of them say, I don't know what we're doing here, guys. We cannot do this. And 2 of them get up and are saying, boys, God told us that this is our land. What are you talking about? We can do this. This is the turning point in Israel's journey and success in getting to the promised land. This is where God says, forget it. 40 years, we got to teach you some lessons. Okay, here's the deal. Sometimes when we know what we're getting into, it turns us off. But due diligence in success is of utmost importance. I know when I started the print shop and bought the print shop and took that over, I did a lot of due diligence, but I didn't quite do enough. There was a couple things that I should have known that I didn't know. And it hurt me a lot through the years, because I didn't know just those couple little things. But due diligence is also the test to see if you got what it takes to succeed. It's also the test to see if you really believe that you can do this. It's the test to see what you're made of. If you can see the competition and you can see what is required of you to get your business plan and get all your crap together and your ducks in a row and all that stuff. And it takes time and it takes effort. And a lot of people get knocked off the wagon because of the effort that is required. But not you. Not me. See, if you really want something, you will do what is required to get it. So, as we wrap this up, one more point before we wrap it up. Number 1, if we know ahead of time what it takes, sometimes it causes us to lose our faith, so we stop. Number 2, it's a test to see who has what it takes to keep moving on. And number 3, if we really pay attention to our due diligence, we will find out what we need to work on in order to succeed. It's a blessing, not a detriment, to do your due diligence. And as we close, very important to understand that the 2 guys that stood up, and said, we can do this. God gave us this land. It doesn't matter if there's giants and walled cities. It doesn't matter if the land is overrun with people. It doesn't matter. God said we were going to have it. The two guys that stood up, them and their families are the only two that didn't die in the 40 years traveling afterwards. And they came back, and Joshua was one of them, and he led the charge to conquer the land, and Caleb was the other one, and he's the one that took the first mountain of the giants. See, if you really want something, you can do it. But you've got to do your due diligence and see what it takes, and be willing to put in the time, the effort, and the discipline every single day to do it. And now, it is your turn to do your daily discipline and get up and go and live a life worth living. And God bless you, and you have an amazing day, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning.